Among the great square-rigged sailing ships of the 20th century, there is one vessel whose life seems almost impossibly long. A ship whose wake stretches from the final golden age of commercial sail to the modern world of international regattas and sail training. Her name was Padua. She was the youngest member of the famous Flying P-liners, a legendary family of steel sailing ships owned by the Hamburg shipping company of Ferdinand Laeisz. All of these vessels carried names beginning with the letter P: Pamir, Passat, Peking, Pommern, Potosi, Preußen, and others. Sailors like to joke that the company's initials, FL, did not stand merely for Ferdinand Laeisz, but for Flying Liner, because these ships were built to be fast, tough, and economical at a time when most of the world was already turning to steam. But Padua would become more than just another cargo carrier. She would become the only Flying P-liner still sailing today. In 1925, the Laeisz Company ordered a new four-masted barque from the Jo.C. Tecklenburg shipyard in Geestemünde near Bremerhaven. Less than a year later, on June 23, 1926, her hull slid into the water. The name Padua was chosen by Christine Laeisz, the 11-year-old daughter of the company's owner, in keeping with the proud family tradition that all their ships should begin with the letter P. From the very beginning, she was designed for the hardest trade routes on Earth, the long, unforgiving deep-water passages around Cape Horn. Technically, Padua was a true giant of her time. She measured about 114.5 meters in length, with a beam of 14 meters and a draft of 7.2 meters. Her displacement reached approximately 6,400 tons. She could carry up to 4,000 tons of cargo in 4 large holds, spread nearly 3,800 square meters of canvas, and rose to a mast height of 56 meters above the deck. There is a long-standing legend that the steel used in her hull, from the plating to the frames and keel, had originally been intended for a German warship. No official documents confirm this, yet many sailors believe that only steel of military quality could explain the extraordinary strength and longevity of her structure. Padua was launched without an auxiliary engine. She was a pure windjammer, built to squeeze every possible knot of speed from the wind. Like all Flying P-liners, she wore the traditional colors: black topsides, a white waterline stripe, and a red underwater hull. Her maiden voyage began on August 30th, 1926, under the command of Captain Karl Schuberg. She sailed from Hamburg to Talcahuano, Chile, in about 87 days, a remarkable passage for a fully laden sailing ship. Her trade was simple but vital. Outward bound, she carried construction materials and manufactured goods. Homeward bound, she returned with Chilean nitrate, saltpeter, the raw material for fertilizer and explosives. Later, she also carried wheat from Australia. These were the famous nitrate voyages, the last great commercial trade of the Age of Sail. Between 1926 and 1941, Padua completed around 17 major voyages. She rounded Cape Horn roughly 28 times, earning her place among the great Cape Horners of history. Speed became her signature. Hamburg to Port Lincoln, Australia, in 67 days. Mejillones, Chile, to the Lizard Lighthouse in England in 72 days. Her greatest triumph came in 1938 and 39 under Captain Richard Wendt, when Padua sailed the route Hamburg, Chile, Australia, Hamburg in just 8 months and 23 days, a world record for square-rigged sailing ships that still stands today. During the economic crisis of the 1930s, Padua was sometimes laid up. But even at rest, she found a new kind of work. She became a movie star. Among the films shot partly on board were the French film Mutiny on the Elsinore, an adaptation of Jack London's novel, filmed in 1936 during a voyage from Brest, France to Casablanca, Morocco, the comedy Herz geht vor Anker, filmed in 1940, and the famous melodrama Große Freiheit No. 7, filmed in 1944 and starring Hans Albers. During the Second World War, Padua did not serve as a combat vessel. She lacked mine protection and was unsuited for naval warfare. For a time, she sailed in the Baltic Sea and in 1944, she was withdrawn to the Flensburg Fjord near the Danish border. Germany's defeat sealed her fate. At the Potsdam Conference, the Allied powers decided to distribute surviving German ships as war reparations. 2 great tall ships were assigned to the Soviet Union: Commodore Johnson, later renamed Sadov, and Padua. In January 1946, the Soviet flag was hoisted over her deck. Soon after, she was given a new name, Kruzenshtern, in honor of Admiral Ivan, or Adam Johann, von Krusenstern, the man who led Russia's first circumnavigation of the globe between 1803 and 1806. Thus began her second life. After repairs, Kruzenshtern spent years in Kronstadt. From 1961 to 1965, she served as a scientific research and training vessel for the Soviet Academy of Sciences, conducting oceanographic and hydrographic surveys in the Atlantic, the Caribbean, and the Mediterranean. Later, she was transferred to the Ministry of Fisheries and based in Riga, then Tallinn, and finally Kaliningrad, where she remains today. Her mission had changed, but her spirit had not. Now she existed to train future officers and fishermen. Every year, hundreds of cadets climb her rigging, set her sails, and learn seamanship the traditional way, by wind, rope, and sweat. From the 1970s onward, Kruzenshtern became a familiar sight at international tall ship festivals and races. In 1992, during Operation Columbus, marking the 500th anniversary of Columbus's voyage, Kruzenshtern won the race from Boston to Liverpool, reaching a speed of 17.4 knots. Astonishing for a square rigger. Sailors from other ships sometimes joked that she must be using engines, giving her the nickname Dieselstern. But her reputation was built on sail alone. In 1995 and 96, Kruzenshtern completed a circumnavigation of the globe. She crossed 3 oceans, rounded Cape Horn once again, visited ports on every continent, and sailed more than 42,000 nautical miles. In 2005 and 2006, she repeated the feat to commemorate the 200th anniversary of Krusenstern's original voyage and the 60th anniversary of victory in the Second World War. Today, Kruzenshtern is the only flying pea liner still in active service. Nearly a century after her launch, the youngest of the flying pea liners remains the last to fly.